Hello everyone. Today's session is about team folders. So as team folders imply, it's a folder, a workspace for multiple users to collaborate together. There are two different configurations. Today, we are going to be focusing on when the file server and Active Directory is away from the CentreStack server. So let's say the CentreStack server we have now, it's set up in the Amazon data center, away from the Active Directory, which is in my local office here. So we are going to be demonstrating how the CentreStack server is installed on a remote data center, and then the Active Directory and the folder network share is local in the office. How do we make a connection of the two so we can elevate a local network share into a cloud-facing team folder hosted by the CentreStack? So let's get started, and let's get started by creating some Active Directory users. So if you are a network admin or sysadmin that's managing your client's file server, these users may have already exist, but for demonstration we create them as new, so then follow each and every step, so it's kind of what's going on. We will be using ACME4 as our tenant, so we are just creating ACME4 U3 and U4 as the two users, user 3 and user 4. So we are creating two users in the ACME tenant. In the previous video, we used ACME3 to show when CentreStack and the file server and Active Directory server are all in the same local area network. But today, we're kind of taking that CentreStack server and put it away from the local area network and in a data center. So now we can show how do we use server agent to get it done. So let's continue to set it up. We set up the Active Directory users. So now let's set up a network share. So we call it ACME4 share. And inside the ACME4 share, let's create two different folders. One we call U3 folder, meaning that's for the user 3, and there's a U4 folder, meaning for the user 4. And it's an empty folder, so let's just go ahead and put a file in, so then the moment we look into this folder, we know which user's folder it is. So for example, we call it, this is U3. So the moment we see this file, then we know we are looking into the U3 folder. And then we're going to be doing the same thing to add a file to the U4 folder. So the moment we see, this is U4 file, we know we are looking at the U4 folder. So just simple marker file. So then it's easier to follow to see which is what and which folder is owned by which user. So the folder is all set. So now let's go set up the sharing. So as a sysadmin, there are two tabs, right? One is the sharing tab and there's a security tab. So the sharing tab, that's the one that's closest to the concept of team folder. So team folder means the sharing, right? So the sharing in Windows means sharing in the local area network, but in CentreStack, sharing means it's a team folder shared across the wide area network. So now, after the top level share is set up, let's go into the folder and set up the folder permission for U3 folder and U4 folder. So we are disabling the inheritance, so we can set up specifically the folder permissions. At the current stage, CentreStack only recognizes the allowed A's. So then when you set it up as a allowed A's. Let's say U3 is allowed for user 3 and U4 is allowed for user 4. So set it up like that, so then CentreStack can take and read it and apply it right away. So the thing about the CentreStack server that's away from the Active Directory and away from the file server is all these users will be replicated over to the cloud side, and the folder and the Active Directory will all be replicated. So then when the folder permission is replicated over, it's replicated over in a positive ACE way, right? ACE means ACE means access control entry. So that's a like a Windows NT terminology there. So we set the folder up, and now let's log in to our CentreStack server instance and create a test tenant, which we will be calling the test tenant ACME4. So let's just create a tenant. It's called ACME4. It's a test tenant. And give it an email. And organization name is ACME4. And just, before we don't apply, we haven't applied the password policy yet. So then just give it, it's a test instance. So just give it some simple password. So then, it's easier to kind of do the POC and test it out. So now the tenant is created. So after the tenant is created, let's just log in and impersonate that tenant, which is ACME4 at gladinet.com. So there's an initial tutorial. So let's just skip those, assuming we are already power users, and go to the management console. And in the management console, we are going to be starting with team folder, right? Because you want to extend the sharing, the network share, to the wide area network. So you open up the remote file server. Remember, in the previous session, the previous video, we went into the files in the local area network. But now, because the CentreStack server is away from the file server, so we say it requires a remote server. So once we go into the remote server side, they ask us to install the server agent. So let's go ahead and install the server agent. So the server agent is kind of like a bridge to bridge the remote systems over. Like the remote system means the remote file server plus the remote Active Directory. So the server agent is capable of replicating the Active Directory server's identities over and file server folders over. As opposed to the other use case when the file server and Active Directory server and CentreStack server are all in the same local area network, everything is direct. There's no replication. But let's say when it's remote, like the things are accessed over the wide area network, if you don't replicate the things over to the cloud side, then the performance is going to suffer, because think about a remote access has to hit the CentreStack server, go back down to the Active Directory, go back up, and then return back to the remote user, right? But now with the replication, then it's cut down to 2. You hit the CentreStack server, and then you can return immediately. So then that's why in this kind of situation, the server agent replicates the folders over and replicates the Active Directory identities over. So that's a key difference between a local case and a remote case. So we just finished setting up the server agent. After you install the server agent, it requires a reboot. And after the reboot, you log in. And when you log in as ACME4, the tenant administrator. And after you set up with ACME4 as the tenant administrator, you are logged in. So then you can just leave it run. It runs as a background service. So you probably just go to the web portal and manage it from the web portal. So now if we open up the remote servers section, you're going to see compares to last time, it says no server found, right? But now the server is found. And if you compare the host name with the name there, you see the host name is exactly the same as the server we installed the server agent. So we click through, it shows up a bunch of network share, and the ACME4 share is the share we just created, right? So we want to create a new share, so then this is the share we just created. And then you found all the users, right? So there's a proxied group. So then that kind of tell you it's not a direct connection, but kind of proxied over from the server agent. So now we import the file network share. So the concept here is the network share, the ACME4 share was at the file server in the local office, but now it's replicated over to the cloud side. Cloud side means the CentreStack server side. And if you look at the user manager, the users are replicated over as well. So let's take a look again at our diagram here. CentreStack server is in the data center in Amazon there, right? And then file server and Active Directory are away from them in a local office. But now you can see the files and folders are available from browser now. From browser now means it's available in the cloud, right? So anywhere I can hit that URL, I can access the folder. So now let's log in with, as a user, the ACME4 U3 user number 3. And then you can see the ACME4 share team parentheses team folder shows up, right? So with a group policy, you can hide that parentheses team folder part, but for now, you can leave it alone. But you see, the U3 user cannot access U4 folder. This is what we want, right? The U3 folder can access U3 folder, but not the U4 folder. So that's granular folder permission, which inherits from the original network share from a local office. So now that's user number 4. Let's give it a try as well. We use the user's UNC. UPN, right? Universal Principal Name, which is a Active Directory term, to log into the Active Directory, and then the ACME4 share shows up, and there's 2 folders. If I click on the U3 folder, access denied. That's cool. And if I click on the U4 folder, I can get in because I'm logged in as user number 4 now. So now what I'm going to show you is there's a small trick that can make it a lot easier for the admin, which is simulating the access-based enumeration, right? So access-based enumeration is a term in DFS. So then if a user don't have permission to a specific folder, you can actually hide that folder. The less you show to the user, the better, that it's less confusing, right? So allowing user to click on a folder and say access denied, why not just hide it away from the user? So now the user logs in and click on the same network share, and then the U4 folder is gone, right? Because he doesn't have permission to it. So then just get it hidden. That's a better usability here. And now I logged in as U4 and click on the same share folder, and then U4 folder show up, but not the U3 folder. So then the access-based enumeration simulation works, right? So you can hide the folder user don't have permission to. As a quick review, the CentreStack server is in the database, in the data center, and then file server and Active Directory in the local office, and then the network share get elevated into the cloud as team folder. Thank you.